I fell down, down, down to this dark and lonely hole. There was no one there to care about me anymore, and I needed a way to climb and grab a hold of the edge. You were sitting there, holding a rope, and we'll go up, 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 but I'll fly a little higher. Go up in the clouds because the view's a little nicer up here, my dear. It won't be long now, it won't be long now. When we get back on land, well, I'll never get my chance. Be ready to live, and it'll be ripped right out my hands. And maybe someday we'll take a little ride, go up, 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 and everything will be just fine.
Hi everyone, it is Saturday, January 19th, and welcome to Pot of Coffee Knits. I'm glad you guys could join me today, and we have a few things to talk about, and welcome. I have been doing a bunch of dyeing over the last month, and I know I've talked before about natural dye versus acid dyes and how much more time it takes to do the natural dyes, which is part of why I actually really love the natural dyeing process, is because it's very meditative to me and it's very mindful. You have to take the time to create the dye. Most of the time you forage for the things you're going to be using to make the dye, and then making the dye takes a few days in and of itself. And then the actual dyeing process takes a few days also. So this is a very long process, but it's very enjoyable to me and it's very rewarding. And I have dyed up quite a few colors lately that I want to show you today. And these are going to be used as sample kits on mini skeins, sample kits in my Etsy shop that I'm hoping will be ready and in the shop by the end of the month of January, if not within the first couple weeks of February. So I'm going to show you those today. I'm going to talk about some of the things I'm working on and some of my future projects today, and also some of the things that I've been up to in general that trying to get organized for the year. So thank you for joining me, and I hope you find something useful today in our discussion, and I'm looking forward to talking to you here. I have been working on these colors a lot, and the first one that I started with, well, I want to show you all of them together first because I think that they would make a beautiful, beautiful shawl together. And I know I've seen a pattern before on Ravelry that I have it in my head, but I have no idea what it's called or who it's by, so it completely eludes me at this moment. and I haven't been able to find it yet, but I think all of these colors would go together awesome. So here's all the colors. And there's 6 colors so far, and I'm still have a few more colors that I'm going to work on. And I don't know, the camera's picking it up pretty true to color right now. They're a little washed out, but not a lot. The very first one that I did, that I've done before, is the avocado dye. It's a very peach color. Very beautiful. One of these days I'm going to dye up a whole lot of this peach avocado dye, because there is a couple really pretty kind of lacy shawl patterns that I am interested in making that are on my to make list, and I think they would be beautiful in this kind of natural peach color. So that's the first one. The next one that I've dyed, which is actually one of my absolute favorite colors out of the natural dye spectrum, is, and I have dyed it before, is this gold. And this gold color is from marigolds, and it makes the most beautiful gold color. All natural. The next one that I did was this gray, and I did this in avocado dye, and then I modified it with iron to get this nice gray. And then the next one I did was madder root, which the sun is really reflecting on that right now, but there we go. That's a very nice, like, pumpkin orange, but very rich, deep color, which I love madder root. And then I also did this brown out of Kutch, which is the first time I've used Kutch before. And it makes a very, very beautiful kind of chestnut color, but I wanted it just a little more rich and a little darker. And so I added a little bit of iron to it, which actually gave it some beautiful variegation to it. So some of the iron picked up more on spots than it did in others. But it turned out exactly how I pictured it. So it turned out very beautiful. And then the last one that I've done recently, I actually just did this one yesterday, was very surprising to me, actually. I did logwood for the first time, and I followed all the research that I've done on how to make it a bright purple, which logwood traditionally gives very bluish purplish tones, and most people can get a very bright purple, kind of like these colors out of logwood. And I did every step that it recommended to get purple, but I did not get purple. I got kind of a denim blue, which is beautiful itself. I love this blue. It turned out perfect. A perfect blue. Probably the prettiest blue ever. But it's not what I was expecting, and it's not what I planned for the kids, but that's okay. Everybody loves blue too. So this is the last one I've done so far. I'm still working on some other colors, but I'm still trying to figure out exactly which ones, because I'm going to do 5 skeins. These are all mini skeins, micro minis. I'm going to do 5 skeins in each kit. And I was going to do like a bold colored kit, so 5 of these colors in one kit, and then I was going to do a brights colored kit that will have like yellow and pink and kind of spring colors in it. So those are the colors I'm working on next. So hopefully I get those colors out of what I dye, and we'll see how it works out. Otherwise, we'll see how they all turn out. But that is what I've been working on, and like I said, it's a very long process. I mean, each one is I would say anywhere from 3 to 5 days for each color. And so that I have been working on since right after Christmas. And yeah, it just takes time, which, like I said, is one of the things I love about it. Also, I forgot to say that once I have these in my shop, they will, I'm going to do a giveaway too on my Instagram feed. So one lucky winner will get a set of sample skeins by entering the contest. So watch for that coming up soon too. By the way, today I am wearing my campside shawl by Alicia Plummer. This was the second shawl that I ever made, but it is knit in the first colors that I ever dyed when I was practicing doing acid dyes. So I did a solid purple, and then I did one that had really light, was really light with a little bit of variegation, and then I did one that had a lot more natural variegation in there. So these purples were the first colors that I ever dyed. And I'm wearing it today because it is negative 13 degrees outside, and my husband and I had to go run some errands this morning and go to the eye doctor for his first pair of glasses, and it was freezing. We had an ice storm yesterday, and it took us over 30 minutes to scrape the windows of our car this morning so that we could leave the house. It was that kind of ice that just like really adheres to the glass, and between the two of us working on it and the car running and the defroster on the front and the back on high, it took over 30 minutes, and we still didn't even get all the ice off of everywhere. And we have a Suburban, and so there's lots of windows that we have to scrape in order to be able to see properly. So yeah, that was our morning adventure. So we got a cup of coffee on the way back from the eye doctor because we earned it. Our hard work. And so we are trying to stay warm in our house right now. I actually cranked the heat up this morning because you can just kind of feel the cold against the walls and against the windows. And so we all have our slippers and our warm clothes and shawls and just cozy things on right now. So that was part of my motivation to do my podcast today, because I have been wanting to do one, but talking about woolen things and warm things kind of makes me warmer. So I want to show you some of the things that I am working on. A lot of things I didn't bring up, but the main thing that I have been working on is my Weekender sweater by Andrea Mowry. And I'm still not very far on it. I'm on the body, but I've gotten a few more rows in. I haven't had a lot of time to knit actually in the last couple weeks. We've had a lot going on, and I'm trying to kind of work on some tax stuff and paperwork for my other job, and I am trying to get all that dyeing done and get my house kind of organized. In January, I kind of feel like it's, a lot of people do spring cleaning, but I kind of do every season cleaning. And at the start of each new season, I like to purge and clean and deep clean. And with a family of 6, we accumulate a lot of stuff, even by accident. I don't even know how, because we don't really spend a lot of money and we don't go shopping a lot. But somehow the kids all accumulate a lot of things, and you know, with Christmas gifts and things from family, it's nice in January to kind of go through some of our older stuff and see what they actually want to keep and use, and we kind of go through clothes and see what still fits and what they need to replace clothing wise. So yeah, I've been working a lot on cleaning and working on things. The sad part is you can't really tell because my house always looks like it's a mess, but I try to be okay with that. Part of my type A background personality has to be okay with that, so I don't like have a heart attack about all the messes. But being a family of 6 and running an in-home childcare, so adding kids to my house every day, and having my dye studio in my kitchen whenever I decide to dye, doesn't really allow for a clean house. So that's all right. I do my best. But anyways, I have been working on this, and it's a really nice, easy knit that I can work on when I don't want to think about anything. So I just haven't had a lot of time. However, we are going to watch a movie tonight as a family. The kids have been doing a Star Wars marathon in order to rewatch all the Star Wars movies again, and we own every one of them, even the in-between movies. And so we are on the Solo movie, which is the only movie of all of them that I have not seen. So the kids are really wanting me to watch it with them tonight, so I'll be working on this while I watch it. I'm really excited to get this done because I've never made a sweater before. This is my first sweater, and I want to really see the process, see if the size I chose is correct, see how to do sleeves and how to, separate for the arms and kind of do all those things, because I really think that all of my knitting for the last 6 or 7 years, is when I first taught myself how to knit, is leading up to me making like wardrobes for me and my family. I'm a little surprised that I haven't started sweaters before in the past, but I honestly think it's because of the intimidation level of doing something so big, and if you mess it up, it's just so much time and so much yarn and money that was spent on it that I really don't want to mess it up. And so that's why actually the yarn that I chose for this first sweater for myself is not expensive yarn. It is actually Lion Brand, and I think each of them was like $5 a skein, each of the skeins. So I think I got 9 skeins of it, 9 or 10. So $45 or $50 worth of yarn. So if I mess it up, it's not so heartbreaking. Whereas some of the other yarn in my stash that I've spent a little more money on, like some I'm going to show you here in a few minutes, would really be very heartbreaking if I did a poor job and I would have to rip it back and fix things, and or it didn't fit or it didn't turn out correctly. And so that's why I opted to go with some cheaper yarn for my first sweater project, so that I could kind of get a feel for how it works. After this project, I intend on using some nicer yarns for most of our wardrobe, but I think I've told you guys before, I have a really hard time thinking of things to knit for my sons. I have 3 sons and a daughter, and it's so much easier to find things to knit for my daughter. But once I get the hang of sweaters, all 3 of my boys really want some sweaters. And so I will be excited to make some boy sweaters for them and feel a little more confident in it. Even my husband said he would wear one. So that's the main thing I'm working on. I'm still working on my Cozy Memories blanket, but that's kind of an afterthought. It's not a constant thing. My Hermione's Everyday Socks, which I still haven't finished that first socks, which I started a really long time ago. So of course I haven't started the second sock. My On the Spice Market shawl. I still need to finish a couple baby hats that I'm working on for friends. And let's see what else. I want to show you something that I did finish though, that I've been working on. So this year I did a Christmas Eve cast on, trying to follow along with some of the other things on Ravelry and whatever other people are kind of doing just for fun. And I wanted to use some of my own hand-dyed yarn, naturally dyed yarn, because I actually haven't knit with any of it because it's all in my shop. So I wanted to showcase some of the yarn and how it turns out knitted up. So I I think I've told you before that I am not a huge sock knitter. That's why it's taking me almost a year to finish the Hermione Everyday sock. And I guess I kind of feel like I didn't know if I'd even wear hand knitted socks, for one, and for two, things that you have to make in multiples, like mittens or gloves or fingerless mitts or socks, I kind of get burnt out after the first one, and it takes me a long time to cast on the second one. And so I usually have to be very mindful about casting on the second one immediately after binding off the other, in order to motivate myself to work on the second thing. Otherwise, it will be a long time in between that I actually work on it. So I was pretty pleased with my Christmas Eve cast on, and I finished one of them, a sock. Amazingly enough, the thing that I choose not to work on the most is the thing I chose to do for my Christmas Eve cast on. Now this sock pattern, I actually loved. It was very easy to remember. I didn't need the pattern in front of me, and it was very rhythmic, and I love how the little detail turns out. And so first let me tell you the pattern. The pattern is Rhinebeck Roomies by Kay Litton, who is known as the Crazy Sock Lady on Instagram. And she has some beautiful sock patterns. I don't know what really drew me to this one. I guess I like the consistent ribbing that's all the way through, and I liked that little detail of the slip stitches on there. But I'm really pleased with how it turned out. I haven't blocked it yet, but I did put it on my sock blocker, but I have not blocked it yet. So, it's one of those things, and I have not cast on the second one yet either. I finished this like 3 or 4 days ago. Let's see. What was I going to say? So the yarn I used is a madder root yarn that I had dyed, and on fingering weight yarn. It is super wash, and I do have one more of these madder roots in my shop, but I love how it almost gets like a tie-dye feel in there. Sorry, the light keeps reflecting off of it. But you see those little white speckles in there. I think that adds so much to the character of the color myself. You can see it throughout. So that one is dyed in madder root. And then the heel and toe, I wanted to do a contrast heel and toe to show off another yarn. And this one is gray. And it is an avocado dyed with iron added. So really they are both, it's these two colors. So this gray for the heel and toe, and this color for this madder root color for the rest of the sock. The things that I loved about this pattern versus the Hermione Everyday Sock pattern. The Hermione Everyday Sock pattern is only a four row repeat, but it's a little more difficult for me to keep in my head just watching TV or doing something than this one was. And so this one I felt like I could really just pick it up and do it anywhere because I had the pattern repeat memorized. The other thing I really liked about this pattern, and I'm assuming that it's all of Kay Litton's patterns, it is very, very, very well written on how to do the heel flap and heel turn and the toe. It tells you exactly when to change the color. It tells you step by step exactly what to do. And I feel like the Hermione Everyday Sock is a little more ambiguous in its instructions. And so for being a beginning sock knitter, I really liked the way that Kay Litton's pattern was written. It was written very, very well. And I would highly recommend any of her patterns to anybody, especially beginning sock knitters. I did pretty well on the heel turn. This side is really good. I don't know what I did wrong on this side. I must have just not picked up the stitch correctly, so there's a little gap, but that's okay. It's like my first completed sock. So what I will probably do is just throw a stitch in there just to hold it closed a little better. But I'm guessing I just didn't pick up the stitch correctly right there where I just missed where I needed to pick it up. But overall, this was a very enjoyable knit, and I'm not as concerned about casting on the second sock. However, since sock knitting is not my passion, I probably will still procrastinate before I cast on the second sock, but that's okay. I did try it on right after it was done because, like I said, I didn't know if I would even like the feel of a hand knit sock, and it was actually very comfortable. So I do think I like the feel of it. So I think that actually motivates me to want to cast the second one on even more. This one is a relatively tall sock. It actually comes up to the middle of the calf, and I did it exactly as written. She says in the pattern that you can, make it however long you enjoy, but since I didn't know how long I enjoyed it, I just decided to do her how she makes it, and so I did that. However, I think in the future, as much as I like tall socks, I also would like to try some that just come above the ankle, I think, a little bit. So I don't know if you have any recommendations on patterns for socks that come right above your ankle. I would probably enjoy some of those too, because these are really good for wearing out, because I have boots that I usually wear when I leave the house in the wintertime when I'm actually wearing socks, because I'm a very barefoot person. I usually am barefoot all the time, even in the winter around the house. But I think if I had a shorter sock pattern or shorter sock that comes just a little bit above the ankle, I would probably be more prone to wear those around the house in the winter time. So if you have any that you recommend, I would really enjoy hearing those. There are a couple more projects that I am about to work on here shortly. One was my washed out shawl by Joji Locatelli that I finished back in November. And in my last podcast, I told you that I was going to gift it to my mother-in-law for her birthday, which was on Christmas, on December 25th. And I absolutely love that shawl. It is so completely beautiful. However, once I got it done, I realized that it wasn't really me. Like, it didn't really look good on me. And I didn't like the way that it looked on me. And my mother-in-law can wear things like that really well. So I know she had commented how she absolutely loved the colors. So I finally, I have not given it to her yet. She now knows she's getting it, and she's very excited about it, I think. But last night I finally was weaving in the ends. So it took me 2.5 months to weave in the ends, and I let it soak in the bathtub, and last night with some wool wash, and it has been blocking downstairs, and I had to use towels on either ends for the tips because I just don't have enough blocking mats, because this thing is very, very, very large, and it takes up the entire floor of our downstairs bedroom / playroom. But as big and cozy as it is, it's also very lightweight and has a lot of lace on it. And so I'm hoping that she can find use to use it in the winter time and in the spring and summertime, because it is lightweight. And she lives in Minnesota, so it's not quite as hot there, and definitely not in the wintertime, but even in the spring and summer, it would be a great cover up for her. So that is blocking downstairs, and it should be dry tomorrow since it's not super heavy and it's very lacy. And I'm really excited to see the stitch definition on that lace after it dries. So I'm hoping to get that sent in the mail to her this week. And so that's done. I had caked up all of these Sweater Weather by the Woolen Homestead, and I'm going to use these to do the petite knit no frills sweater junior for my daughter. And this one here, And the only thing that has kept me from casting that on is that it requires mohair, and I wanted a pink mohair, like a blush, like the light pink in there, to hold with it. And I really didn't know where to get inexpensive mohair that was real mohair. And so I ended up finding some on Knit Picks, and it wasn't expensive because I spent a lot on the yarn for the sweater already, so I really didn't want to spend a lot of money on the mohair to go with it for my daughter, who's 9 and will outgrow this sweater in a year or so. The different sizes on here, she just turned 9 a week ago, but I think I'm debating. I need to measure her, but I'm debating on making her the sweater because it's there's a size for 8 to 9, then there's a size for 9 to 10, and then there's a size for 10 to 12. And she's a petite girl, but I want this to last her for a while, so I need to measure her. But I definitely think the 8-9 would fit her perfectly right now. But I kind of don't want to make her something that fits her completely perfectly. I want it a little oversized. So I'll probably go with the 9 to 10-year-old one. That way, since she is petite, she's smaller than her average age. Hopefully that will last her a couple years. But I ended up ordering mohair in the blush colorway from Knit Picks, and the reason it was out of stock for the last few weeks, and so I couldn't order it, the one color I wanted. And so I actually just ordered that yesterday, 2 days ago, and so that should be on its way. So once that gets here, I intend on casting this on with that light pink mohair. So that will be another project in the works here. Excuse me. Another project that I am working on, that I have a sweater quantity of now, that I thought I knew what I wanted to make with it, but now I'm not so sure, is I have a sweater quantity of this yarn, Crunchy Leaves, by the Woolen Homestead. And I love that it's mostly white with some really pretty different colors throughout there. So when it gets knitted up, I think it will be beautiful. There's some good speckling there. So it's very neutral with some little pops of color. It's a DK weight. It is superwash New Zealand Polworth wool. I thought I wanted to make the Nutkin sweater by Claire Mountain, from volume 5 of Lane magazine. I thought I wanted to make that sweater out of this because I absolutely love that sweater. By the way, I love everything in the Lane magazines, and I love the neutral colors, and I just love it. I absolutely love it, and I'll talk about that in a few minutes. But looking at the pattern and rereading it and looking at the Ravelry notes online and what other people have done, I don't think that this yarn is the right yarn for it, because everybody comments on that pattern, the Nutkin pattern, that it needs to have really good drape. And so I think I need to have something that has maybe some silk in it, or baby alpaca, or something like that. And so I am going to go back to Ravelry and put in DK weight and the yardage I have and sweaters and see what comes up, because I really want to make a sweater for myself out of this Crunchy Leaves. And I'm putting this one off until I finish my Weekender sweater, obviously, because like I said before, I want to get practice making a sweater, because this one is a little more pricey when all is said and done. And I really don't want to mess that one up either. So I want to get practice with my Weekender sweater. So those are the some of the upcoming projects. I want to show you what I just recently got. I've commented before that I really want to, this year especially, I want to learn new skills. And so a sweater is a new skill, sock knitting is a new skill. I want to learn to do brioche, and I want to learn to do color work, and some cabling. I've never actually done cabling before. So I went ahead after Christmas, and I gotta find the pattern here. I found a couple patterns that I want to do, and I went ahead and got the yarn for one of them. And that is the pattern that everybody says is a great pattern in order to teach yourself Fair Isle. So I'm gonna do it. The Bobble Hat by Donna Smith. I got the yarn for it. I have not started it yet because I want to get some of these little baby hats and some of these other little projects taken care of first, so that I can really focus on it in order to know what I'm doing. So I got the Jameson Shetland Heather yarns and I got the Wood Nymph colorway for the base of the hat, the bottom here, this part, so that will be the bottom. And then I got the Jameson Shetland Heather and the Highland Mist colorway, this blue, and that will be the top part of the hat, that blue. And then I got the Shetland Black for any of the black details that are on there, like the face of the sheep. And I went with the natural white for the sheep itself and all the white details. So this will be on the needles before long. So if you have any tips on a beginner color work, I would love those tips. But I'm hoping I've done one project. My tincture hat by Andrea Mowry was technically color work, but it was the mosaic pattern and not so much like Fair Isle pictures and stuff. And I want to learn Fair Isle really bad and doing color work and things because I want to. There's so many things I want to make, sweaters and such. But also my 13-year-old son keeps saying, once you learn how to do this, pictures, can you make me a hat that has a picture of this and this? And he keeps asking me for things, and I'm like, well, if I learn how to do it. The other pattern I picked in order to teach myself how to do brioche was the Vanilla Fog pattern by Andrea Mowry. I think it's a really cute, simple hat, but I like it a lot. And it says it's really good for brioche beginners. So that will be something I cast on too. But I love how that hat fits and looks. So that's in my project queue. And another thing in my project queue, but that probably won't happen for a while, is I absolutely love this shawl. And I know everybody else does, but the night shift. I absolutely love that. It is so incredibly beautiful. And now she has the night shift sweater and which I have to look at because hers is like a cropped book, and I don't know if you can make that into a longer sweater or not, because I don't want a cropped sweater. So if I could make it into a longer sweater, then I would absolutely love that sweater too. So those are the things that are upcoming. Those are the things that are currently on my needles. And I want to talk a little bit about some yarn with you and some of my newfound wardrobe ideas that I've discovered about myself. So I have been really watching a lot of podcasts lately when I'm not too tired and I fall asleep, because I never watch TV or anything until I get into bed. And that is the only time that my TV turns on, because I just don't have time for it. But I have this notebook beside my bed, and in it, as I've been watching podcasts, I've been taking notes of different podcasters to follow that I recommended, different yarns that other people are really using and recommending that I might not have heard of before, different patterns that people are doing. And the podcaster, I mean, I always watch the Wool and Homestead and Homespun House when they update their new ones, but the podcaster that I am most watching right now, from a couple years ago for their first episodes through now, I also always watch A Wooden Nest, is Bee Mandarins, the Melody from Bee Mandarins. And I love her podcast because I love how she is completely honest about how she's just, like, back at the beginning, how she didn't really know some of these techniques and didn't have some of these knitting skills, but she would tell you that and say, but she just jumped in and would try them. But through watching her podcast, watching A Wooden Nest, I have really discovered something about myself that I think has evolved. It's always been there, but I think has really evolved, is I definitely lean towards the more natural patterns, the more natural colorways, like neutral colors, blacks, grays, tans, ivories, peaches, like very mellow peaches, like deeper colors, like a deep pinkish purple, things like that. I really definitely lean towards those things, very more neutral colors. So many of the patterns that she shares, I have now pinned in my Ravelry queue because she and I must have a lot of similar likes, and she loves nature and I love nature, and I try to bring as much natural aspects into my house as I can, and so I really feel like I can follow along with her really well. And so I decided to watch her podcasts from the very beginning through time, and I'm still not super far into it. I think I'm only on like episode 27, which is still 2 years ago. So I'm not even up to date with her currently, but just watching her, it's really made me realize how much I love those very natural, delicate lace patterns, and the I don't even know how to describe it, I guess. There's things that have those natural elements, but also very natural wools. It has made me really look for, I'm trying to find better base yarns for my yarns that I dye in my shop and for myself. I have discovered through her a lot of yarns yarn companies I didn't even know existed. I didn't even know about Blacker Yarns, for one. Croft Yarn. They both have some very, very beautiful, like Blacker Yarns is just all natural colored. They do have some that are dyed, but I'm really drawn to the natural colors of theirs. And Jameson, very sheepy wool. I have to be careful with some of the really sheepy rustic wool though. It doesn't bother me wearing it on my head or on my hands, but like if I were to make, and it probably wouldn't bother me as a sweater unless I had like if I had a shirt or something underneath it, but around my neck it makes me itchy. So, but a lot of the yarns that she recommends for some of the projects that she has and done have a lot of really beautiful drape to them, or baby alpaca and or some silk in it. And so I've really been trying to take some notes on some of these yarns so I have some better ideas of yarns when I come to a project that I want to do and know right away that this yarn would go really well for that project. So yeah, I've been doing that a lot, watching these podcasts. And I've subscribed to a ton of podcasts, some of which I've never even watched because I just don't have time. So I have to be really choosy about some of them that I watch. And like I said, I always watch the updated episodes from A Woolen Homestead, A Wooden Nest, and A Homespun House when those come out. But some of the others I haven't had a chance to get into yet because when I'm not watching those updated episodes, I'm trying to catch up on like Baby on Dreams past ones. So once I catch up, because I don't like to start in the middle, I don't like to start with the newest episode. So like Woolen Vine, I really want to watch hers, but she has like over 200 and something episodes. I don't even know how many episodes. 300 episodes. So that's a lot of catching up to do to kind of get a feel for who she is and her process and everything. And I just don't like starting in the middle. It's kind of like picking up a book and starting in the middle of a book. I don't like to do that. I feel like I miss out on something. So, so I'm taking my time with it, which puts me behind all of the newest episodes of people's podcasts, but it is what it is. So I have to be choosy about those extra podcasts I watch. Yeah. Over the next week or so, I have to get my seeds ordered for my garden. And once I get those ordered, then I can really start planning my garden, which I intend on putting some plants in there for my natural dyes. And so I'm trying to be very choosy about what I want in my garden this year and not just put things that are easy to grow. And I want to work really hard on that. So I'm looking forward to spring for that thing, for that time. But there's a lot coming up and a lot to do. And I'm looking forward to updating my shop. And I hope everybody loves these colors. And once I get all these sample kits done, then I can work on, hopefully, if I sell some of these sample kits, I can get some more yarn to hopefully dye some larger skeins of these colorways and some different colorways for you to have. So the last thing I want to share with you is I'm really excited about the packaging that I got for the sample kits that'll be in my shop. So I ordered some regular brown paper bags, so the yarn will go in this. And each order, I got this big box of botanical postcards from the New York Botanical Garden. And they're like vintage botanical cards. So each bag of kits will get a beautiful postcard. Just a blank postcard. And they're all different in here. So each order will come with one of those. And I bought this great big bag of washi tape. And every one of the washi tapes is botanical pictures. So there's like leaves and fall leaves, some different flowered patterns. So I'm really excited to use these. and it's a great big bag. There's 12 in this bag. And so I'm going to use the washi tape to seal up the brown bag that will have the yarn and the postcard in it. I think these postcards are absolutely beautiful, and I am a big fan of writing letters and postcards, sending postcards and things and handwritten things, and so I hope other people appreciate these too and will take the time to either keep it for themselves or to write a note to somebody that they love and want to share it with. So yeah, that will be that. And to check out my shop, it is potofcoffeeknits.etsy.com. And if you like these colorways, there are a lot of naturally dyed yarns currently in my shop that really need a home. And so I hope you check it out. Right now I have free shipping within the United States still, and the yarn is very reasonably priced. And I would love to see some of these yarns go to a good home so I can make more yarn, because I really enjoy doing it and dyeing yarn for you all. But I think that's all I have today. Thank you for joining me, and maybe next time I will have some more projects finished and my weekender sweater a little more complete, and hopefully I will have cast on my daughter's Petite Knits No Frills Junior sweater once I get my mohair in the yarn, or in the mail, not in the yarn. So I hope you guys are enjoying your winter and that you're enjoying the cold. I don't mind the cold. I think it's nice to have every season, but I will look forward to the spring. I'm looking forward to being outside and hiking and working in my garden and getting it all set up. But I'm hoping to have my seeds before next month, because most of my seeds I usually plant in the middle of February. So my indoor seeds, so my starters, I hope I have all of those seeds figured out and ordered and arrived before then, so I can get them all started. But happy Saturday, everybody, and I'll see you guys next time.